What is up, everyone? Back on the Rump Your Sports YouTube channel for a little UFC 316 action. Got my boy Dan with me. Two-man booth here as JBC is heading out to the fights. I know Dan's going to be driving out after this show, but Dan, we got a big card, couple sweet fights on this card. Obviously, the main event with DVALISHVILI, O'Malley, multiple belts on the line tonight. How you feeling for this card?
I'm excited, man. I think this Merab O'Malley rematch is going to be really fun. I think O'Malley probably learned some things from the last fight, so I think it's going to be a bit more competitive. I'm also excited for Harrison Pena because I think Pena's got a shot, man. Like Harrison likely runs through her, but I think we could see a big upset in the co-main, and that would just be hilarious because people do not like Juliana Pena, and I tend to like the people other people don't like. So
yeah, I am definitely in the Juliana Pena hater camp. I've been there for a while now. Yeah, it's a big camp. I still watch her fights back, and every single time I watch them back, I say the same thing as when I watched them live. How the fuck does she win some of these fights? Like literally, I just like I watch it, and I'm still like I don't understand. I just don't get it, but it's Juliana Pena. So she wins fights that really she shouldn't win. She's tough. Yeah. So I agree with you. I think it's a way more live co-main than what the odds kind of imply. And that makes for an interesting card and some bets maybe we can talk about later on. But yeah, it's going to be I think the O'Malley DVALISHVILI fight is going to be better than the first one too. Honestly, I think it's going to be even more competitive. And I think that's good when we got two fights where I don't know if people see the two main fights as competitive as in my head. I think they will be. So that always makes me, feel like it's going to be a better card than what even people think.
Yeah, I mean, we've also got we've got some mismatches. We've got some pretty big favorites. It doesn't always make for the most competitive fights, but you should at least see some finishes, which
you would hope. Now we did just see we did just see a tweet from Kevin Holland that doesn't make any of us feel good. It was he didn't really say anything in the tweet, but you can kind of figure out that there might be something going on with that fight. So we're going to keep an eye on that. If you guys see any other news break in the chat, then you can let us know. But he pretty much tweeted out just like, this is fucked up. And that was it. So I don't know what he's referring to. I assume he's referring to something is off with Vicente Luque and the fight might not happen, but who knows? That there hasn't been any reporting on it as of now, other than just Kevin Holland tweeting out something without actually saying what's going on. So hopefully they clear that up soon and we can figure that out. But I'm annoyed because that's one of the fights I was actually really looking forward to.
This is the state of reporting in the UFC now is we've just got fighters cryptically tweeting when their fights get canceled and no official word from anyone. Like you said before we came on, we will probably get the official word at 6:01 at the top of the broadcast. Like we've got some unfortunate news. A fight's been canceled. But I wouldn't be surprised if Luque had to pull out just, with all his health issues, all the beatings he's taken. Wouldn't surprise me one bit.
Well, I will not be happy if that happens, but we'll see what happens there. This made me laugh. Rob's gonna fuck Sugar's wife. Jesus. Did Dan give JBC an air mattress? Is JBC staying with you, Dan?
JBC is not staying with me, at least not that I know of. He might drop that on me at like 2 a.m. when we're leaving, but no, I don't think he's staying here. I'm pretty far from Prudential.
Holland is announcing his next fight is next week. Oh, great. Okay. Well, so I guess we don't have to break that fight down then, Dan. We can just throw that one off the card, apparently. Did he tweet that out, K-Falcon Burner? Did he tweet out something else? Do you see it, Dan?
No, I just see he said, well, this is fucked up. I don't see anything else from him unless it was like maybe on Instagram or
Yeah, maybe it was on Instagram. All right. Well, I'm sure chat will let us know.
Someone's saying he's joking.
I hope he's joking, Matty Ice. I'm with you. I'm just gonna pretend like he's joking for now. Let's get into this card though, Dan, because we got a bunch of fights. Even if one is called off, we still got a good amount of fights here. And let's start at the first fight of the night and work our way forward. We got Chioinski 7,300 versus Maderos 8,900. Markel Maderos was supposed to fight last week. Something happened. He wasn't feeling good or something like that. He pulled out. But he's back on this card this week, and he gets a newcomer to the UFC, Mark Chioinski. I would categorize him as, kind of a wrestler, but he doesn't just go out there and just shoot off the rip. He will set up his striking. He will kind of use his striking a little bit more than just your normal wrestler here, and he'll throw down a little bit too. I've seen him kind of get into firefights before he even decides to start wrestling in the beginning of fights. So it's an interesting fight against someone like Maderos, who's going to use the bigger cage. He's going to use his footwork, more of a technical striker, right, Dan? Not someone that we've seen have like massive scores in the UFC. He's not going to give you he's not going to give you wrestling upside, I think, for DFS. So you're not going to get that. What you're hoping for with Maderos is someone like Chioinski comes in there and he's very aggressive. He is very hittable on the feet. That was one thing I noticed, was on the feet, you can tag this dude. And he will, like I said, he will throw down with you a little bit. I watched him in I think it was his last fight. He got tagged like 8 or 10 times, just straight in the face before he decided to shoot a takedown, then got the takedown and got the finish. But I was like, wow, this guy, against someone with takedown defense, this guy might be in trouble. So I could see Maderos maybe finding a finish later on in the fight if he can wear this dude down and he can stop his takedowns. So I do think Maderos wins. I just don't know how well he's going to score at 8,900. That's the question, Dan.
Yeah, this slate is extremely top heavy. Like, we have a ton. It's not like last week where like there's in previous weeks, there's been like very little opportunity cost at the top. And we've had these really high priced fighters that you're like, well, you're going to play them because who else are you going to play really? Like, you got to get them in there. This week is way different. Like, there's so many good options at the top. Maderos is actually going to come in probably around like 10% owned because, like you said, like he doesn't produce much offense. He doesn't really wrestle or grapple. He kind of likes to fight at a slower pace, but he does have some power in his hands, and he will be taking on like a newcomer who has a super low level resume. He'll definitely have a pretty big striking advantage, I think. So, his ITD line of plus 246, it's really not good enough for the price, but he's definitely viable as a contrarian option just because he is going to be so low owned. And then on the other side, I actually picked Chioinski to win because the line has been moving steadily towards him throughout the week. And at 7,300, he's got wrestling upside. The line movement tells me that he's live to win on a slate where the dogs are really, really terrible. Like we are really like dumpster diving on this slate. So Chioinski is actually one of the better values and one of the better dogs this week. And yeah, ownership's going to be there. He's going to be like 23%, but I really don't mind getting there, maybe even a little bit over that.
Yeah, we didn't get it. Sorry, K. Alex Burner. I think it's because in my head I'm just still tilted, just went right over. But yeah, we got you now. The other good thing about Chioinski is he for DFS anyways, is he does give you that wrestling upside. I just think that someone like Maderos is going to, even if he got taken down once or twice, he's going to be able to get back up to his feet. Even if he gets taken down, like in some of his other fights, he's kind of urgent to get back up. And I think he's athletic enough to start to stuff takedowns and then use that cage in movement. So this fight's probably going to be a decision fight, but maybe he finds a finish. I don't like it for DFS, but I could see you being dog or pass in DFS and betting the dog. But I'm going the Maderos side. I think he wins a decision here. But I just think he's the way better striker and the better athlete. And I think that's going to win out at the end of the day. So we'll see on that one. We're split there. I'm probably going to be lower on Maderos for DFS. It sounds like you're going to be pretty low, but he's going to be low owned, right, Dan? So you don't have to full fade, right?
Yeah, Maderos is going to be like 10%. So I'll probably be like 15. I mean, this top range is so loaded. There's so many places to go. So, usually in a spot like this, I would try to get probably around like 20s, but 15 is probably where I'll land. There are just so many good options up here. And like, I have like a rank formula that ranks these guys kind of like based on their odds and ownership and everything. And it's like, even though Maderos is projected to be so low owned, it doesn't really stand out all that much in this range regardless. So
I'm going to like some of the dogs more that I think have just a chance because of the style of the other fighter. And I just don't like the style of Maderos. It just doesn't bring out like fun fights unless Chioinski is just an absolute dog moving forward. Whereas I think we're going to get other dogs that, they're big dogs on the card, but the other fighter and them are going to kind of get into some type of car crash where, like we say in UFC, when that happens, like anyone's got a puncher's chance to put someone's lights out. So those are kind of the dogs that I'm going for. This first one's probably not going to be it. Let's go to the next fight though. Ashuse versus Quinlan Salkill. Salkill coming off of a massive round 1 knockout in his last fight here. Pretty quick too. 9,400 on DraftKings versus Ashuse 6,800 for Yanel. Yanel's pretty solid. He's not, I wouldn't say he's special at anything really. He's just a tough dude. And, he has a little wrestling. We saw it in the Trevor Peek fight, but I think that's more just like Trevor Peek couldn't stop takedowns. He could get back up from the takedowns. That's why he had 9 of them. And that kind of shows like Yanel's control isn't always the best, but he was able to condition himself to get those 9 takedowns because honestly, Peek was kind of hurting him on the feet a little bit. So like Yanel's, striking defense might not be the best, but like I said, he is a tough dude. And, Salkill does throw with some power. He has really good kicks though. I really like his kicking game. And again, I think the big cage is going to help him with his style. The thing that hurts Salkill is fighters that move forward, right? They just want to back him up and get him up against the cage. And I just don't think that's Yanel's game, right? I think he wants to kind of pull you in for that one big shot. And Salkill, I don't think, if you miss on that, you're just going to be getting teed up pretty much. And he's going to circle the cage and just be teeing off on you. I also think Salkill's grappling's better than Yanel. So if they did get on the ground, I think Salkill might win that battle. I mean, he had like 1 billion takedowns in his Contender Series fight, so he can also get takedowns of his own, and I like his grappling. So I got Salkill here. I wanted to go with a big dog in this spot, but I just don't think Yanel is the right dog. Probably one of my favorite picks of all time was Yanel versus Sam Patterson, because I go, Patterson literally has like no striking. And so like Yanel's going to come in with the bigger power shots. And if he catches them, he's going to go night-night. And he caught him round 1. The problem is though, even Trevor Peek had better striking than Yanel. That's why he resorted to all those takedowns. He knew he had the takedowns. I think Salkill is a little better than him almost everywhere this fight goes, Dan. So that's why I got to go with him. I don't know if he's going to finish Yanel, though. Yanel's really tough. So it might be another decision fight. What do you think?
Yeah, that's the thing. Salkill actually, his finishing odds, he's plus 141 to win inside the distance. That's actually the weakest finishing number up in this top range, which just goes to show how strong this top range is. But I agree with you. Salkild is better everywhere. He's going to be much bigger. He's going to be much more physical. And yeah, he can spam takedowns. So I think he will definitely. That's the thing. This top range is so damn strong, and he's 9,400. So he is going to need the finish. It might not need to be an early finish. Maybe like round 2 will do if it comes with a lot of wrestling and grappling. But yeah, I thought I was going to like Salkild a lot more than I do, because he, because of his kind of weaker finishing odds, he sort of rates out like the lowest for me up in this range. On the other side, Ashuse, like you mentioned before, he's got a puncher's chance. He's got some power in his hands. And that's really the best thing I can say about him. Like, he does have the 9 takedowns on Trevor Peek. So theoretically, there is some wrestling upside there. But like, Salkild is a much, much better wrestler than Trevor Peek. I mean, most fighters are much better wrestlers than Trevor Peek. So
he's a way better grappler than Trevor Peek.
Yeah. And I don't see Ashuse having any real wrestling success here. Basically, he's got a puncher's chance, and his inside the distance line is plus 720, which is pretty awful. So,
it's just that overhand right. Like, if Salkild stays, if Yanel hits that overhand right, he can put out a lot of people. But, that's all you got to really worry about with him, honestly, is just that one type of punch. So, yeah, I don't like it either, Dan. I'm with you. I think if Salkild gets a finish too, maybe it's with the grappling. Like, maybe it's a round 2 submission or something like that, where they get caught on the ground, because he's kind of long, right? And he will threaten with submissions when they go on the ground. So, and I think his grappling's pretty good. So maybe a submission. If I thought there was a finish, it might be by submission. But I kind of agree with you. I think you're going to need takedowns for him to hit his ultimate ceiling from Salkild.
Either a quick win or takedowns. And like you said, Ashuse, like, he's pretty tough to get out of there. I don't think
he's tough.
And Salkild doesn't exactly have one-shot power. He's kind of more like he'll just get you out of there over the course of a fight, but he's not exactly just like putting you out in one shot. So
and you got to be careful like jumping shit with Ashuse, because like he's so like compact. Like I remember Trevor Peek. I forget, was it a guillotine or a Kimura or something, where he like jumped it, he like threatened it with a takedown, and he just kind of like threw him off his arm, because his arms are just so, he was just like, get off me. Like, that's not gonna work. And he just was on his back after that. So you got to be careful, but I do think Salkild has the grappling upside to maybe get it done here. Not the best fight, I think, for DFS. I don't really like either guy. Again, if you're playing 150, you can sprinkle these guys in here, because like Dan said, puncher's chance for you now. And Salkild, you don't want to just fade him, because he does have finishing upside, like we saw in the first round. So yeah, I'm just lower than him. I like this next fight, Dan. Let's go to this next fight here, because this is the type of fight where I kind of like both sides, even though I am a fan of Joe Sung Yu, 9,500 here versus Jekka Sargi. Sargi is 6,700. And why do I like this fight? I like this fight because I think this fight finishes early. I think these guys get into a car crash with their styles. Jekka's style is kind of like kill or be killed, Dan, and I'm with it on this card, right? And I think I think he's got really good striking. I think he's got a type of game where he'll play that game. Okay, you want to run at me? All right, I'm with it. Let's throw down. So I think we see an early, probably round 1 finish here in this fight, and that's why I like it so much. So you can take the dog or the obviously the big favorite here in you. I'm going to be overweight on this fight, though. I really like it here. These are the dogs that I want a piece of, the dogs that I think do have finishing upside and will go out there and at least fight to either, go down or to put them down.
Yeah, you said it right off the top, man. Like, I think someone's going to die here. This is heavily favored to end inside the distance. You probably better everywhere, probably has the physical advantages. He's got one of the best inside the distance lines on the slate. And he's got a bit of a ground game. He doesn't really use it all that much, but I think he'd be really smart to sort of lean into it in this matchup because Sergey looks completely lost on the mat. The last time we saw Sergey, he was getting submitted by Weston Wilson.
That was still one of the wildest fights I can remember.
Yeah,
like when everyone was on Jekka, and then all of a sudden, like Weston Wilson just goes out there and subs him.
And I was definitely talking about how Weston Wilson was viable and caught a whole lot of shit for it. So I'll just victory lap that one again.
I can see that. I can see you picking the lanky white boy.
Yeah. But yeah, I mean, both sides of this, honestly, again, the dogs are terrible. Jekka probably gets steamrolled here. You know, India, not exactly an MMA hotbed. They just don't have like the facilities. They don't really care about fighting over there. It's all like cricket, you know? So Jack is just viable because he's a brawler. He's going to go in there. He's going to swing. He's going to try to take Yu's head off. He'll probably get his own head taken off. But like you said, off the top again, like these are the kind of fights where we like to target both sides because someone's going down. And a lot of the times it's just a matter of who connects first, which can be very random.
I like this fight to end. I agree with you. You would be smart to probably use some wrestling and grappling in this fight if he could get it. I just don't know if he like loves doing that. You know what I mean? Yeah. I think he like trusts his hands a lot, and I think he's skilled. But it's like the path to least resistance, right, Dan? Like if he did use it, it'd probably be really smart. But I do think this fight finishes. It probably goes. I do like it to go under. Obviously, if I like it to finish in round one, fight to end via KO is still plus money. I like the fight to end via KO. So I'm on it.
Correction. I'm sorry. He's from.
What'd you say?
I said India, dude. I always mix up Sergey and.
Oh my God! How could you miss up India and Indonesia? That's terrible. Do a lap. Do a lap while we get.
I get him and Jubilee mixed up.
Jubilee was the dude that got knocked out by the Quinlan, right? The guy we just talked about.
They've both fought each other, so it's very like they're both.
I'll give you a pass. That's okay because there was connections there with the fighters on this card, so I'll give you a little pass here. But
I appreciate the correction, Austin. Thank you.
Dan confirmed he hates Indians.
No.
Yeah, Dan's not a big. Dan's not a big. You like cumin or however you say it?
What?
The spice.
Oh yeah,
the spice.
Cumin? That's Indian.
I think so. Right? They put it on like all the Indian food.
Well, you don't like chili?
I'm not a big chili guy, bro. No, I'm not a big chili guy. I know that's weird, right? I'm weird. I like some clam chowder, bro. I'm a clam chowder guy.
Yeah, chili is
you don't
good.
Like clam chowder? What?
No. Well, I don't eat animals, dude.
Oh yeah, I forgot about that.
I was never really a seafood guy. I was never really a seafood guy either.
JSU hates all food. I hate all food that Kentuckians eat. I definitely don't like. So that's a fact right there.
I've got my disagreements with people from the South, but they do know how to eat. So
yeah. Again, I'm the one that's always going to be on the wrong end of food discussions with pretty much the majority of people. So I understand that going into this fight. So
yeah, you're supposed to be eating Wendy's right now.
Yeah, there's no Wendy's right now. No Wendy's here right now. We're gonna have to do Wendy's another time. I'm gonna have to just fly to Big T's house because if I do Wendy's, Dan, let's say I do Wendy's tomorrow, they're not gonna believe me. Like I could take like a quick video or something like that, I guess, and post it, but like he just will say I didn't do it. So
it's a deep
I'm gonna have to fly to his house and eat Wendy's.
You got to do it in front of him in person.
Literally in person. Yeah.
Or
have to,
be holding today's newspaper, eating Wendy's.
Stick to your PB&J. As a kid, I did like PB&J, so I'm not going to lie, bro. I'm definitely not going to lie.
JSU eats like a 10-year-old.
Honestly, kind of. Kind of. And the person in chat right now that can't say anything about eating like a 10-year-old is definitely this guy, Terry Niehaus. So you settle the fuck down there, sir, because you eat like a child as well. Don't you dare start talking. All right. Next fight on the card, we've got Irene De Silva 7,100 versus Wang Kong 9,100. Oh, Wang Kong. All right. So I'll start with this because I picked against Wang Kong in her last 2 fights. I was obviously very wrong the last time she fought. She whooped Bruna Brazil's ass.
Oh, yeah.
Kind of. But like Bruna Brazil just froze, I think. I think she was afraid of the speed and the power. So that's probably what happened. And she just froze. Time before it, she lost to Fernandez. She subbed her too, which I was on the sub. We talked about the inside the distance. It was like 10-1 or 12 to whatever it was. And that one hit. Dan, I like this fight though. I'm not a big Wang Kong person, but I do like this fight stylistically because I think that De Silva is going to not be afraid to throw with her. And Wang Kong is someone where she is not going out there trying to take a girl's head off and run through you, right? She's waiting for you to initiate. This is why the Bruna Brazil fight wasn't very fun. There was no finish because she was not exchanging with Wang Kong. So Wang Kong was like waiting for her and she wasn't throwing. So like Wang Kong would like throw something out there real quick and Brazil wouldn't bite. And she just like threw a couple kicks, but that was really it. So then like later in the second round, Wang Kong tried to like move forward a little bit, but it was kind of too late. You need the right style for someone like Wang Kong. I think De Silva is because De Silva trusts her power and she wants to go out there and throw. When you watch her fights, she wants to throw with girls. The problem is her last like 4 fights, she's fought girls that just want to take her down. Even the Casey O'Neill fight. I remember going back watching the Casey O'Neill fight. All Casey O'Neill's game plan was to try and get De Silva down. And she couldn't do it. And then ended up losing the fight to De Silva. Melissa Gatto, same thing. Gatto's got terrible takedowns. She couldn't get her down. And then you look at the last couple fights, it's like, you know, a lot of these fights that she's been in, her opponents have been trying to get her to the ground. You don't have to worry about that with Wang Kong. So I think we're going to see a good fist fight here where someone's going down, Dan. And I like Wang Kong in the spot. I think she can find a KO plus 180 right now. Obviously that's pretty high for some like a woman's fight. So that just kind of shows you the respect that Wang Kong has.
Sorry, what did you say was plus 180?
To win by KO, Wang Kong.
Okay, yes, yeah.
On DK.
Yeah, her inside the distance number is really strong. It's minus 115, which again, this top range, super strong. So she's gonna get squeezed because she's right between. Well, shit. Now we don't have Holland anymore, so that's gonna free up some ownership. But you know, she's right between Marab, Pfeiffer, Van, Salkid, and you know, and then you go up a little bit more, and there's you. So her ownership is definitely going to get squeezed. I'd be surprised to see her come in over 15%. And she's obviously got the finishing upside. She's in a really good matchup, like you mentioned, with De Silva, who is going to be willing to stand and bang with her. FK mentioned in the comments earlier, too, that he thinks Wang is going to come out more aggressive in this fight. I tend to agree with him. You know, this will be now her 3rd UFC appearance, starting to get a little more comfortable, coming off of a win. I imagine her confidence is probably, you know, in a pretty good place. So I think she comes out aggressively. I think she'll be looking to finish the fight. Oh, yeah. Nice call, Maddie.
I mean, why not? Right?
Just fight and the knockout plus 175.
Yeah. Love that. Love that bet right there. That's definitely
on the other side.
Bet.
Yep.
It's not confirmed, I don't think, yet, but it sounds like it could be what's happening, Michael. So he posted something about just saying it's very vague. This is fucked up, and that was it. So we'll find out if there was anything else.
If you guys don't already, I would follow. What's the account? It's Marcel Dorf, and he gets like he's usually the first one with breaking news he doesn't post shit without confirmation, so you can trust what he says. I'm gonna be keeping an eye on his account for Holland news. So yeah, Marcel,
he hasn't said anything yet, right?
He said nothing yet. Oh wait,
Okay.
let me check. No, Marcel.
Yeah, this is not like confirmed by anyone. Like no one's put out anything besides Kevin Holland, so we have no idea. And who knows? Maybe it's just like it could be off, and that's why they're waiting. Like maybe Vicente Luque. Who knows? I don't want to like speculate too much because
Kevin Holland talks a lot. He's like, you know, he's a bit of a clown. I say that as respectfully as possible.
How about this right there? How about this? We go to Kevin Holland's Twitter real quick here, guys. This is what we're talking about here. So I'm gonna. Kevin Holland tweeted about, I don't know, 30 minutes ago. Dan, you see this? This was his last tweet. Well, this is fucked up. That was it. So he tweeted that out. I don't know what that means. Sounds like, you know, something not good with the fight, but we'll see. Nothing is confirmed yet, so I don't want anyone to be. I don't want anyone to be like, "Oh, wait, you guys said the Kevin Holland fight was off." I'm not saying the Kevin Holland fight's off. I'm saying that there's something going on, and we don't know exactly what it is yet. But Kevin Holland tweeted something very vague, but read between the lines, and you can only assume that something he's not happy about is going on. And
yeah, follow Marcel's account. Follow Marcel's account, keep an eye on it. But you know, we probably get official word at like 6:01, unfortunately. People are asking if we're concerned about the Kong to Silva fight going forward because of the weight miss. I mean, it's not a great situation, but from what I understand, the weight miss was because, and I'm like super paraphrasing here, but apparently De Silva had like some kind of benign tumor on her like pituitary gland, and recovering from that, she ended up getting like some advice from an outside doctor that was like advising her weight cut, and they like just totally botched the weight cut. So, I mean, obviously, you don't love it when a fighter's got like it's Dorf, DORFF.
I did see too a video of Wang Kong pretty much just saying like I accepted it. Like she seems pretty down to just. She wants to fight. So
yeah, I think they still fight. I'm not gonna play it any differently. Obviously, a cancellation case, like we had a main event canceled last week. So literally any
and I
fight.
think the Q tag on DraftKings might keep her lower.
I do like that.
So.
I saw that yesterday. I was like,
ooh,
Q tag, nice. And they probably won't take that off either.
You don't see many Q tags in MMA DFS. So when you get them, like people are going to be hesitant to click the name. So it's just all about, you know, how much you want to risk. You know what I mean? Like, you know,
really small. The Q kind of looks like an O sort of.
Kind of. Yeah, it does.
I don't think I got to talk about De Silva, though. I actually kind of like her in this matchup because, like, her main downfall is her defensive grappling. Like, she's completely lost in the grappling. When she gets taken down, she's just cooked. She's done. And,
yeah,
you know, Wang Kong, she showed some takedowns last fight, but I think she's really just going to want to go out there and kickbox. So if they stand and bang, De Silva is not, like, she's just another dart throw. She's a little more live than some of these other dogs, I think. You know, Queen of Violence, former KSW champion. Like she's not bad on the feet, man. If this stays on the feet, she's going to be competitive. So I don't mind taking shots at her at 7,100. She's going to be 11% owned. Low owned women's MMA dogs, man. Gimme.
Yeah. I'm with it. I mean, if I were her, I would try and get her wrestling going. I know she doesn't love to use it unless it's kind of like forced on her. She wants to throw, but it's kind of like that's probably her path to least resistance is using her offensive grappling. Because like you said, her weakness is her defensive grappling. That's why girls are trying to get her down. Even girls that aren't really good at getting girls down, like they try because they know once she gets down, she's not good. But I think that would be her best path. And what's her sub number? Like 12-1 or something, like 16-1, something like that. So
incredibly high.
Yeah. I like it though. I could see a finish here. Again, I'm not like a huge Wang Kong fan. I think that this fight is definitely a fight that finishes. I like the under on this fight, and I think someone goes down.
De Silva's submission is plus 1,200. So, well, actually, on DraftKings, DK Partner, it is plus 1,600.
Boom, right there. Hashtag DK Partner. Sprinkle that right now.
Professional.
Take a little bit of that. That's right. Hashtag DK Partner. All right. Good fight. Again, for DFS, this is another fight. I like both sides of it. I think you can play both sides of it because I think both dogs have a good chance with the finish upside. So let's go to the next fight. We got Williams, 8,700 for Chaos Williams versus Gustoson, 7,500 for Gustoson here. Chaos sitting like a minus 190, I think, favorite over on DK. Gustoson was supposed to fight last week, Dan. Didn't obviously get the fight. And he kind of said some crazy things. This guy seems a little wild. But what do you think of his game? And, do you think Chaos has what it takes to kind of put this guy down?
Dude, I mean, someone's going down. I love both sides of this fight. Like you said, Williams, powerful striker, no wrestling or grappling upside. So at 8,700 with the strength of this top range, like he's completely knockout or bust. And he's going to be pretty high owned considering his like super narrow path to the optimal, but it's a pretty good matchup. He's like Gustoson. Obviously, I believe this is his debut. But it's also just a good matchup because Gustoson is willing to kind of just like stand and bang on the feet. So, when you get a willing opponent like that, it definitely ups my interest, regardless of how it's just the problem with Williams is that he's just so one-dimensional and he can only get you like a slate-breaking score in one way. So it's a bit narrow for, he's projecting to be nearly 30% owned, and probably more if people get scared off of Holland. I'm still not quite sure what I'm going to do with the Holland fight. I'm just going to hope for more news, honestly. But on the other side, Gustoson, base wrestler. He likes to clinch you. He likes to beat you up in the clinch and then try to take you down. So he's got a bunch of wrestling and grappling outside. And like I said, he's going to be willing to like get in the pocket and exchange. So there's going to be, I think, a lot of very explosive, violent exchanges on the feet. And like we always say, like in those, a lot of times it's just a matter of who lands first. So on a slate with a lot of weak dogs, I think Gustoson at 7,500, he's got wrestling and grappling upside. He's got knockout upside. And I think he's going to be one of my like preferred dogs of the week for sure.
Yeah. The one thing I do worry about, like
straight up as well.
Yeah, Gustoson, the one thing, like, I don't think he's going to be able to control Chaos when they're, like, in the clinch like he did in his Contender Series fight where he was just, like, dominating the clinch situations. And like you said, those, like, short little, like, uppercuts in the clinch and the boxing range, the nice and tight range, he was dominating that fight. I don't think he's going to be able to control Chaos like that. If he does get Chaos down, it's not like the Bomb Fiend fight where Chaos lost and got some, like, he's not threatening like that with submissions. He's not as high level as Bomb Fiend. So I don't think there's as much danger if they did go to the ground. So I do think this fight could finish, but I don't worry as much about like the clinch and the ground game of Gustoson against Chaos as I did last time against Bomb Fiend. I got it last time against Bomb Fiend. Bomb Fiend he's dangerous, both with his hands and his grappling. So it's just a different type of matchup here. Do you like Gustoson here?
Yeah, I like Gustoson. I picked Gustoson. He's just a better wrestler and grappler. And Williams has really struggled to defend takedowns. Like, I don't think Gustoson obviously is on the level of Bomb Fiend, but I think his takedowns are good enough to get Williams down. And if he can't hold Williams down, then that's even better, man. Like, take him down, get right back up, take him down, get right back up. Oh my God. That got me thinking about fucking Gamrot Klein last week when they gave him like 4 takedowns off of mat returns. I was fading that. I was fading that fight. And ended up not mattering because I would have needed Blanchfield afterwards, but I was losing my fucking mind. I was like, they gave him 4 takedowns.
Don't remind me about the Blanchfield fight. I couldn't even get my favorite bet of the night. I couldn't even get to it because it got canceled. I've been running bad with these cancellation fights.
That was crazy.
In some of my favorite bets.
Did you see that like UFC and ESPN, just like whoever, like and on the Wikipedia and shit, it's now billed as Gamrot Klein. Like they just retroactively made that the main event.
No, I didn't see that. That's
3-round main event at the Apex.
Oh, what a main event. I was so sure about Aaron Blanchfield just subbing the shit out of Macy Barber. I felt so good about it in that number. And then, damn it, just couldn't get the fight. Unfortunate. What are you going to do? All right. So me and Dan are split on that fight from a betting standpoint. Let's go to the next fight here. Sergey Spivok, 8,300 versus Waldo Cortez Aosta. Waldo is 7,900 on DraftKings. Dan, I see this fight as you got one guy that wants the fight on his feet, Waldo, and then you got one guy who I think has a massive advantage if the fight gets to the ground. And if you look at Waldo's one loss, it was to DeLima, and you watch that fight, he was pretty much getting controlled. It was one of the few fights where he got taken down and he was getting controlled for a lot of that fight and ended up losing a 3-round decision in that fight. And Sergey Spivok is more dangerous on the ground, I think. And he doesn't have like the best like normal like shoot takedowns, but when they get in close, like in clinch situations, he's got really good like trips and throws and all that stuff. He took down Almeida, and it was kind of pretty easy the way he did Jailton too. And, then Jailton got on top of him. He got back on top of him. He's impressive on the ground. He's got a good ground game. He's definitely threatening. And I think if Waldo goes down, I think he's going to really struggle to get back up against Sergey. So I think Sergey wins this fight with either control and maybe a submission early in the fight where they're still kind of dry and stuff like that. So I'm going to go Sergey by submission. I think it's like plus 250, plus 300 right now. But if this fight does play out on the feet, I think, Sergey probably gets knocked out. So it just kind of depends on how you see this fight happening. Where do you see this fight playing out, Dan?
I don't think he gets knocked out, even if it plays out on the feet. I mean, Cortez Aosta, he did knock out Ryan Spann last time out, but that's Ryan Spann. His other knockout is Lucas Brzezinski, who is probably one of the worst heavyweights on the roster. And then going to decisions with like the ghost of Andrei Orlovsky. And then after that, sort of laying praying on Robles de Spain, who has even worse. Like Cortez Aosta out-grappled Robles de Spain is really just like a major indictment of Robles de Spain. Like that is absolutely fucking insane. I think he controlled him for like almost 13 minutes. It was just like takedown to start the round, takedown to start the round, takedown to start the round. That's not going to happen here, dude. Sergey Spivak is probably like a top 3 grappler in the division.
He ain't shooting for no takedowns. I'll tell you that right now.
Yeah, dude, Spivak, I think he gets this to the mat early, and I think he really fucks him up. He's either going to ground and pound him to shit, or he's going to submit him. Like Cortez Aosta has 0 ground game, and what's actually really surprising to me is Cortez Aosta is projected to come in at 27% owned, which is pretty wild for a guy who has no grappling and doesn't have knockout power as a heavyweight going again against one of the best grapplers in the division. So I have Spivak here. I'm going to bet Spivak inside the distance. And respectively, Spivak and Aosta are each 31 and 27% owned. I'm more than happy to eat that ownership on Spivak, and I'm probably going to be pretty low on Cortez Aosta because there's just really not much I like about his game. And this is a really bad matchup for him.
Yeah, Spivak's probably the fighter in the mid-tier I have the highest ownership on.
Dude, and Spivak, like his floor and ceiling, just like with his grappling and wrestling heavy style, it's like he's got a really, really good.
Yeah, it's perfect for DraftKings. It's so perfect for DraftKings.
great high floor and decision wins, but like when he gets finishes, he absolutely fucking smashes. So at 8,300, I think Spivak is definitely a priority play here.
Yeah, I kind of agree with this. If he gets to the mat, like Waldo's got to be drawing dead. Like he has not fought anyone with the level of ground game of someone like Sergey. Just look at the guys he's fought too. I mean, like,
I don't understand why. So, like, this line to me seems way closer than it should be. Way closer.
Yeah, that was one thing I was kind of surprised that the line was as close as it was, but I mean, 13-1 fighter, you know, Sergey Spivok has fought like everybody. I'm not saying he's beat everybody. He's definitely lost. And most of the time when he got like steps up in competition, he would lose. But those are to the best of the best, pretty much. You're talking about Almeida, you're talking about Gane, Aspinall, right?
Yeah, those are his last 3 losses. So
I mean, I'm cool with it, right? I'm cool with it. So
Cortez Aosta is a fucking baseball player with a bad attitude. You know what I mean?
What's the fight to end via round 1 submission? What's the number on it?
Round 1 submission.
Let's see. Go to our partner at DraftKings here.
See Spivak.
Fight parlay. All right, round 1 is plus 500. Round 2 is plus 800. Yeah, I like it. It's gonna happen. We're gonna get it nice and early for our boy Sergey. All right, we're on the Sergey side. Big Sergey Spivak people today. Let's go to the next fight here. We got Mzakonov 9,600. I think the second highest fighter on the card is Mzakonov versus Brenson Ribeiro, 6,600, one of the cheapest fighters on the card. Ribeiro coming off of a massive round 2 submission win as a big dog, or a pretty big dog. And now he gets Mzakonov, who, when you hear his name, Dan, you might think something about this fighter that is definitely not true, because you might think, oh, this guy's going to like grapple the shit out of you. He might throw you down, ground and pound you. Nope. This dude's like light on his feet. He's bouncing on his toes. He's got a sick jab. Puts like everything into it too when he throws that jab out there. And his uppercut is just nasty. I still, the Menafield fight, if you want to watch like that last fight against Menafield where he was throwing bombs on this dude, and they weren't like wild bombs either. And he'd be like backing up and would just crack him with an uppercut or a hook. And it was just perfect. His striking is awesome. He does not really use the ground game at all. It's very much striking, and he takes his time. You know, even when he hurts guys, he's very patient. That's why you'll see a lot of round 2, round 3. He's extremely, he doesn't rush in there. Even if he hurts you, he's not going to like just sprint at you throwing. Even the Menafield fight, he hurt Menafield early and he started to run and then just kind of like stopped himself. Like he knew, like, I shouldn't do this. I'm going to eventually catch this guy. So at 9,600, Dan, what are we doing with a primary striker? He's probably not going to throw many takedowns in there. And someone who is very patient, probably not a guy who's giving us a round 1 finish.
Yeah, and you're going to need a round 1 finish at this price. 9,600 is really, really expensive. The one good thing is that his ownership will be depressed because of his price and because you've got Harrison right above him, which I think most people will prioritize in a 5-round fight, massive favorite. And you've also got, obviously, his inside the distance number of -350 is like incredibly good. But, you know, you've got much cheaper finishers right below him, which their numbers aren't quite as good, but you're getting a pretty heavy salary discount by going down to, you know, Pfeiffer, Kong, even Van, who isn't necessarily a finisher, but is in a great matchup. We'll get to that later. So yeah, like his path is really thin. He needs an early knockout. It's a decent matchup because Ribeiro will be the much, much bigger, longer fighter here, but he's really hittable. He's really slow. He can be knocked out. And Mzakonov has really sick power. He's not an urgent finisher, which I don't love, but again, his ownership's going to get squeezed. So I could see Mzakonov coming in like 20 or lower. I think I'm probably going to try to at least get to that, maybe get over, just because not going heavy on a guy with a minus 350 inside the distance line just like doesn't compute with me. You know what I mean? And if he's going to be low owned, then I like it even more. On the other side, Ribeiro, I think he gets fucking steamrolled here, honestly, but he is going to have a massive size and reach advantage. He's got power in his hands. He's obviously, he's got some submission skills on the mat as well. So I actually kind of like Ribeiro because with his inside the distance number, I've got 589 here from Pinnacle. He's actually got some of the best inside the distance. He has the best inside the distance odds, 7K and below. And they're comparable with some of the better finishers even above that when it comes to dogs. So I'm going to be taking an overweight stance on Ribeiro by default here. Unfortunately. Yeah. That's pretty much it.
Yeah, I mean, both guys, this is another fight like Ribeiro 6,600. Like, you just never know. I get taking some stabs with him for DFS. Mzakonov, like you said, what's the ownership you said on him right now?
Yeah, Mzakonov is projecting. I have him at 19 right now, and I've got Ribeiro at 13. So,
so I'd be fine coming in 20% on Mzakonov, just like right around the field.
The fight is minus 800 to end inside the distance, and I'm really not in the business of fading fights like that. So I'm probably going to come in. I'm going to do my best to come in overweight to both sides of this fight.
It's interesting because it's got to be the biggest inside the distance number on the card, right?
Mm-hmm.
But by far, and that DFS players like to target those fights.
Yeah.
So the fact that it's only coming in that high kind of has to tell you something. Like, I feel like there's no way at the end of the day it stays that. Like, I feel like it has to be over those ownerships.
It's really a pricing thing. Like, if you look at the ownership, if you just like sort from highest price to lowest price, and you look at the ownership, like the ownership is Harrison and Merab are obviously the two high.
Obviously,
it's Merab, then Harrison, then O'Malley, highest owned fighters on the slate. But then the rest of the ownership like really condenses around the mid range because nobody's going to want to play these barbell lineups. These dogs are weak as fuck, so they're all going to be
the mid range. Like, honestly, is not that amazing on this card. Like, I like Sergey. Sergey's my favorite guy in the mid range, but like, outside of him, I don't think the mid range is as strong as maybe people think. And
most builds,
you're gonna want some of these 9K guys in there with their upside. You're gonna want them. So I think you're gonna. I think we're gonna have like one or two big dogs win on this card because there's just so many, and all you're gonna need is like one. Honestly, if one big dog wins on this card, if Ribeiro or Pena or any of these like 6K or low 7K fighters like outright win and maybe win inside the distance stand, you're gonna need those other 9Ks to fit it.
The one more thing I will say about Mzakonov is we said before he's not really the most urgent finisher, but he still has the best round one number on the card. It's plus 100 to finish in round one, which is really, really strong. Yeah, I think this is a fight you want to try to get over on. There's obviously a ton of bust risk here because Mzakonov has a pretty small window and a pretty narrow path. But yeah, I think he's like a pretty elite pivot up top.
Yeah, I mean, the question is like, can he outscore a Merab takedown fest or a Kayla Harrison takedown fest, or because he's going to kind of have to outscore probably one of them, right?
I'm even more worried about him outscoring you or Van or
you. I was just talking about the highest owned people at the top.
Oh,
but yeah, you, Van, like that's the question. Can he outscore those guys for sure? So that's kind of what you got to ask when you're building your teams. But Yeah, I like getting a piece of it, especially if it's actually going to be that low owned. Just take a stat at 19%, take 20% and move on here. So, all right, let's get to the Joshua Van Bruno Silva fight here. Bruno Silva 6,900, Joshua Van 9,300. And Dan, I looked at this fight, I saw the line, and Bruno Silva is plus 525. Joshua Van is minus 750. To put this in perspective here, I think Manel Kopp was like, or Bruno Silva was like plus 350 against Manel Kopp. Mm-hmm. And that's Manel Kopp, who just whooped Asu Almabayev. Like, Manel Kopp is really fucking good. He's really good. I think he's way better.
Title, man.
He's way better than Joshua Van.
Yeah.
And Joshua Van is a way bigger favorite in this fight here against Bruno Silva. Bruno Silva, you can say what you want about him. I don't think he's the most like technical guy. So Joshua Van probably has him there, right? Joshua Van's a little faster than him, but Bruno Silva can throw down. He's got power and he's got skills if they did get to the ground, which, most of the time it's more scrambles where he catches people in the grappling, but he's dangerous in both the ground and on the feet. So I don't get it. I feel like this line is way too wide. I like Bruno Silva here. Don't forget, Joshua Van got caught by Charles Johnson. He was winning that fight too, and he got caught by Charles Johnson and got finished by him. Bruno Silva could be losing this fight for 2.5 rounds and then just catch Joshua Van. And that's why I kind of like Bruno Silva as a dog here. I do think that Joshua Van could just outclass him on the feet and just be faster and stay safe and win a decision easily. But what happens when Bruno just gets in his face and says, screw it, me or you, one of us is going down. Who's it going to be? So that's why I like this fight. I think it's a good fight to target. I'm going to have probably more Bruno just because I like other 9K guys than Joshua Van, but I do think Van could volume, his way to a decent score.
Yeah, Van's got one of the weaker inside the distance lines up here, which should depress his ownership a little bit, but people really like Van. He's really popular. People love playing him.
I could tell he's minus 750.
Yeah, I mean that for flyweights, that's pretty fucking insane. And you mentioned him getting knocked out by Charles Johnson and Silva being dangerous later in the fight. Both things are true. And it's like the thing I always think of is, Van is very young, but he comes from like a Muay Thai background where those guys fight constantly. So you'll see Josh Van fight like 5-6 times a year. And like, that's all well and good. And we love to see it, but eventually that sort of catches up to you, and you could be feeling good the first couple rounds of a fight, but then all of a sudden round 3 comes here and you're like, oh fuck, like I am absolutely gassed. I've been putting my body through hell for the last year and a bit, whatever. So Silva's definitely more live late in the fight, I think. Early or late, really, because like we've been saying, Silva will come out aggressive. He comes out, he marches forward, he'll throw bombs, which sort of ups my interest in Van a little bit. I think we talk about this all the time. It's like the dynamic of the matchup is like, you've got one guy who doesn't necessarily like pursue finishes aggressively. Like Van is not an aggressive finisher, but you've got a guy on the other side who will be coming at him aggressively. So it's going to force the action to an extent. But once again, man, like minus 750 for a flyweight fight is crazy. So Silva is dirt cheap. I feel like I'm repeating myself, but like, yeah, he's got power in his hands and he can win, man. I think the speed is going to be a huge. I picked Van though, just because I think the speed is going to be a major issue for Silva. Silva is now 35 years old, which is old for a flyweight, man. You start to lose that speed and it's big problem. So, I like Van, but Silva is definitely got a puncher's chance here for sure.
Yeah, I agree with you. Plus 800 inside the distance. I think it's okay to take a shot on Bruno Silva here. I do think the speed, if he loses, probably is the advantage. But again, Manel Kopp is on a different level of a counter striker than Joshua Van is. I don't care what anyone says. Like, Manel Kape's just on a different level. So be careful trying to put 2 and 2 together with Kape and Joshua Van, because they're just not on that same level. Maybe he's still on a level ahead of Bruno Silva, but I don't think he's in Kape's range.
I honestly think if Kape and Pantoja fought, I would probably pick Kape, just because I know we would get like good dog money on him, and I'm just a huge fan.
He'd be a big dog. He'd be a big dog. So yeah, I'd probably pick him too, just because he would be a big dog on that fight.
I've been loading up on
Kape. I picked Pantoja in like every single fight so far. So it's
also getting older.
Really good. Yeah, he is, and he's been in wars, man. Like eventually, all those wars they catch up to you. But and Manel Kape, one thing about Manel Kape, he is really good at staying safe. So he's not taking as much damage fight in and fight out. And that's why some fights are fun with him and some fights are a little on the boring side. It just kind of depends on, who he gets.
He's been letting his hands go more lately, though. He's been letting his hands go.
Well, after the Makayev fight, because
I think someone got in his ear.
He saw them say, undefeated fighter, get the fuck out of here, after he lost to him. And he was like, oh, shit. They did that to Makayev, who's undefeated and just beat me? Okay, I better start throwing. All right, let's touch on this fight quickly, Dan, because obviously we don't know what's going to happen with it. The Kevin Holland, Vicente Luque fight. Kevin Holland, 8,800. Vicente Luque, 7,400. I'll just say this. If we don't hear anything else about this fight and we get close to lock and there's nothing, I'm probably staying away from this fight. If we hear anything else, though, then I assume we're going to get like the news of maybe it's off, right? So I'm just waiting. I want to wait for this fight. If this fight's on and they say like, nope, this fight's good to go or whatever, then I think it's a fight you can attack. Vicente Luque, he's very good. He's been in wars, like you've said. We just saw him against Themba Gorimba be a slight dog. And that was like a massive step up for Themba.
That was
and
awesome.
He whooped his ass, right? So there's always levels to the MMA game, and you kind of saw it. I mean, Vicente Luque was fighting Joaquin Buckley and Dos Anjos and Neal and Muhammad. Like, listen to those names. Michael Chiesa and Woodley. These are his last, 8 fights or whatever. All those guys are legit, and then Themba Gorimba. So, now he gets Kevin Holland, who I think is more on that level of, I'm not saying he's with the top guys, but he's at least closer than Themba, way closer than Themba, right? So I think this is a very good fight. I think it's a pretty close fight. I think if Vicente Luque gets Kevin Holland on the ground, he's got a chance to submit him. So I like the plus 650 submission number. I think it was plus 800 at one point on DraftKings, but it's plus 650 right now. I would bet that if we see this fight goes. I like that number for Vicente, and I would be higher on him just because I kind of like the dog more. Kevin Holland in this fight, 8,800 seems a little steep to me with his scoring upside. I don't think he's getting an early finish against Vicente Luque, so I'd be more dog or pass in this fight.
See, I think Kevin Holland at 170 is a problem. At 185, he's pretty undersized, and we've seen him a lot down there.
How did he not finish Gunnar Nelson?
I don't know, man.
I'm just saying.
That wasn't great. But I think Holland definitely has Luque on the feet.
Luque is way more dangerous than Gunnar Nelson. Just
way
overall.
More dangerous on the ground for sure.
I mean, even the hands, I think he's more dangerous. Gunnar Nelson on the feet.
Oh, more dangerous than Gunnar Nelson. Yeah, of course.
Yeah, way more dangerous than Gunnar Nelson. I'm saying putting all of it together, all of MMA together, he's just way more dangerous.
Yeah, I think on the feet, though, Holland, he's obviously going to be the longer fighter. I think he's more powerful on the feet. I think he is also going to be quicker. I think he'll be able to kind of pick Luque apart from the outside before ultimately finishing him. That's sort of how I see it playing out. Because we mentioned it before. I think Luque's durability is fading. He's been in so many wars. He had a brain bleed, which, I I personally, I would probably rather him not fight with a brain bleed, on his medical history. But
what a warrior!
It's up to him,
absolute
man.
Warrior.
Yeah, I mean, respect.
I say that in the fight's about to get canceled because probably something Luque, but whatever.
Yeah, it might get canceled. But I really like Holland for his finishing upside. He is pretty expensive. Luque is one of my preferred dog targets, despite all the things I've just said, because I think he'll have a pretty sizable grappling advantage. Like Kevin Holland has some pretty solid offensive grappling, but defensively off of his back, he's really not good. So I think if Luque can get the fight to the mat, then he can really press that grappling advantage and find a finish here. And at 7,500, 7,400. Again, the dogs on this slate are just really rough. So I think Luque is one of the more solid dog targets just because he can win. Is really just what it comes down to.
Yeah, I agree with you. I definitely think he can win. So I like, his money line too. But we'll see with that fight. We'll see if it happens. Just keep an eye on the news, and we'll move on from there because I don't want to spend too much time on that fight. We get Patchy Mix, 8,500. First fight in the UFC versus Mario Batista, coming off of a fight that, I would say it's pretty, I guess, controversial. People didn't love the fight. They didn't love I don't think he won the fight, but the way he won it was why people didn't like it. He won it kind of holding on to Jose Aldo, right, against the cage, and won a decision.
Smart.
And whatever. He fought smart. I still think he lost personally, but it is what it is.
Too. He fucked himself. He hasn't fought since then. It's because nobody wants to fight him.
Nobody wants to fight him. And what's funny about it is, go back and watch the Ricky Simone fight. There were some exciting moments in that fight, in the Ricky Simone fight. He's not Mario Batista is not just a naturally boring fighter. No. It was just, he knew he was facing Jose Aldo, and he knew the game plan and what he had to do to win, and he did it. You know what I mean? And they gave him the fight. It's not his fault, honestly. It's the judge's fault that gave him the fucking fight. But it is what it is. I think this fight's going to be pretty fun, honestly. I think Patchy Mix and Mario Batista, I think we're going to see some interesting grappling. Both these guys are legit on the ground. Patchy Mix is probably better than Mario Batista, but Mario Batista is definitely no slouch with the grappling. They both train with really good grapplers. Patchy Mix is training with Aljo, I think, right? Aljo and Marab and all those guys, I'm pretty sure. So, both guys train with legit grapplers. And I do think, I'm betting Patchy Mix. I do think he could find a submission finish here. I'm not a huge Mario Batista guy anyways, but I do think we see a more exciting fight. You don't think Mario Batista knows that no one wants to fight him? You don't think he knows? I'm sure the UFC wasn't happy with him after that fight. He's going to come out here with a little more aggression, and I think that in turn is going to give us a good DFS fight.
Yeah, I think this is going to be a fun scrap. I think there's going to be a lot of wrestling and grappling. My major issue with this fight is I think it goes to decision, and I'm a broken record at this point, but there are just so many strong finishing options on this slate the mid-range is going to be very popular. So I'm going to try to kind of do more barbell constructions to sort of get away from that, be a little bit more unique while still obviously holding on to GPP winning upside. So Patchy Mix at nearly 30%, Batista at nearly 25%. I'm probably coming in under on both of them. And it's really it's not that I dislike either of them as plays. I think they both have paths to an optimal score if we get a lot of action, a lot of wrestling and grappling exchanges. That's certainly on the table. But for me personally, I'm just going to be chasing higher finishing upside and different constructions. I don't want to totally fade it though, because I do think I already said it. There's going to be a lot of wrestling and grappling. So there's always potential for really high upside there. You're muted. It's not something I want to ignore.
The question is, are we going to get like the upside of wrestling grappling where like one guy is getting a ton of takedowns? That's the question.
Yeah, see, that's also, Batista, he's a really solid all-around fighter. He's got really solid defensive grappling. I think Mix will probably be the aggressor here and will come out, be pursuing the takedowns, trying to get the fight to the mat. So I think Batista, he'll be kind of stuck defending for the early portions of the fight, which will obviously depress his scoring. One of my main problems with Batista is, he really lacks the finishing upside. Just his inside the distance number is 515. That's terrible. And then he's one of the more expensive dogs at 7,700. So I just have a tough time seeing Batista optimal on this slate.
Yeah, even Patchy, like Patchy's control is really good. So I honestly worry we wouldn't get the volume if he did get Mario down. That's the other thing because his control is really good. He does have 6 submissions. So like if he does get people down, he is extremely dangerous and he can threaten pretty much from any position. If they're in a scramble or anything like that, he's going to be live. And I think he wins those scrambles too if they do get into a scramble. So I lean him since I think it's going to be a grappler's delight here. I think I lean Patchy in that spot. But yeah, I mean, I get it. If you think it's a decision fight, I probably would stay away from it.
And just like one narrative thing, I've heard, people mention this throughout the week. And when you look back, it's pretty true. When they bring guys in from over promotions, like from other promotions like Patchy Mix or MVP or Pitbull, they give them a tough fight when they first come over to kind of just be, because you don't want somebody coming over from another promotion and beating your guy.
Well, they also gave him someone that no one wanted to fight. Let's
exactly. They gave him a really tough fight. They didn't just give him a fight where it's like, all right, Patchy, come on over. We'll give you an easy one to get you started. It's like, no, come on over. See if you can beat one of our fucking better guys. And it's a win-win for the UFC because if Patchy comes over and beats Batista, then it's like, yo, look at this new badass guy we got. And if Batista beats Patchy, it's like, see, we really are the best company here. Like the Bellator guys can fuck with us. So
yeah, it's definitely an interesting fight. It's definitely an interesting fight. I think it's going to be more exciting though. So we'll see what happens. Next fight on the card, Joe Pyfer, 9,200 versus Calvin Gastelum, 7K on DraftKings. Gastelum plus 300. And I'll just say this. I get people don't like Gastelum, but I cannot be on board with Joe Pyfer at almost minus 400, Dan. I refuse. Calvin Gastelum, say what you want about him. He's got some wrestling. He's got power. The volume's not always there. It was in his last fight, but the volume's not always there. It's a lot of decision, wins and losses. He has gotten subbed a couple times too, but to elite guys like Sean Brady, getting subbed by Sean Brady, I'm throwing that one out. So, he's tough. I think Joe Pyfer is going to try to, knock this dude out, and it hasn't worked for anyone yet. So we'll see what happens. I think it's honestly a boring decision to be honest with you here. So I think it's a bad DFS fight. I'm probably going to bet Gastelum just because, I can't bet Joe Pyfer at minus 400. I'm not doing that. And I don't trust him to finish Gastelum with the chin. You know what I mean? I don't trust the KO. Maybe he could submit him if he got him down, but I don't know if he's as good on the ground to get him as some of these other guys that have gotten him by submission. So I think this fight ends via decision, and maybe that's what I'll bet. It's minus 105 just to fight to end via decision. So I don't hate that bet.
Yeah, that's not bad. Yeah, I think Pyfer's been working on his grappling, so I think we could probably see some more of that in this fight. I don't really have much interest in Gastelum, man. I just don't. He hasn't finished any. Well, okay, he hasn't knocked anyone out since 2017. He hasn't finished anyone since 2015. He doesn't score in decisions because he's just a one-dimensional striker, really. So he could win, at 7K, and that might be enough if he gets, drawn into a high volume striking battle and he comes out of there with a decision. I liked Gastelum a lot more when this fight was in Mexico at elevation, because I've got questions about Pyfer's cardio, but without those concerns, I think Pyfer should definitely win this fight. He's not really one of the stronger options up here. You're not really even getting that much of an owner. I guess he does have the best inside between like Salkild, Van, and Pyfer. He does have the best inside the distance number. But to me, these three guys are really similar plays. Let me see what I've got in my initial runs on Pyfer here.
Yesterday, Gastelum tweeted out asking what's the best steakhouse in New Jersey.
Right. Yeah. Probably doing content for his YouTube channel. It gives you a good idea of where Kelvin Gastelum's head is at. Yeah, I probably will be coming in like kind of.
Don't forget too, in every single one of Joe Pyfer's fights that he's winning, he's finishing guys. So yeah.
Well, and here's the thing: Gastelum's never been knocked out. So I think if Pyfer is going to get a finish, but he's never been knocked out, but he can be submitted. So I think
he can be.
It's going to depend on how far Joe Pyfer's submission grappling has truly come. Like we've heard things coming out of his camp, like, oh yeah, he's been working really hard on it. But I think he'll probably need a submission to make value here. I'm probably going to be coming in under on him. I haven't projected it like 22%, and there are just options that I like better up here. I think I definitely prefer you, although he's more expensive. I prefer a Kong, actually, just because of the ownership discount. He's a fine option to mix in, but I think there's a lot of downside with Pyfer. And like you said, I think there's a good chance this could go to decision and just be like low volume, kind of low scoring.
Well, yeah, because he's looking for the big shot. He's going to look for the big shot and get or he's going to try and go for takedowns, which is going to stall in the fight if like he doesn't get him immediately. And Gastelum has wrestling of his own, so like they could get into like this takedown battle or clinch war or something like that. So I think there's ways where this fight kind of stalls out and it's just boring as fuck. So
yeah, they're just
I do like that he's shorter. 9 inches is a lot. Hey, to be fair, I didn't like Yanel against Salkill, and Yanel is definitely shorter than Salkill by a decent amount. So just to be fair, I don't like all of the short, dogs on this card, but I do like some. I definitely won't lie about that.
Who's the shortest person on the card?
It's got to be the Bruno Silva fight. Bruno Silva and Van.
Mzakonov is the shortest fighter on the card.
No, he's not.
No, that can't be right. Hold on.
No, he's not.
Yeah, my sorting was fucked up. Hold on, retract it. No, it's definitely.
I was going to say, what are you, drunk or Wang? Or Wang? How tall is Wang?
Wang Kong is 5'6". So we got Bruno Silva at 5'4", Josh Van at 5'5".
Bruno Silva is the shortest one on the card. See, I was right.
Little guy. Yeah.
That's why we bet Bruno Silva, baby. That's why we bet him. Shortest one on the card. You know it. We just got to take them, and we got to close our eyes, people. All right. Let's get to these main events here. The first fight, title fight, Kayla Harrison, 9,700 for Harrison versus Juliana Pena, 6,500 for Pena. Dan, I just think that Kayla Harrison, first time, 135, 5-round fight. It's her first time, I think, making that weight and fighting 5 rounds. That's going to be very interesting for her. Juliana Pena is absolutely tough as nails, a dog. She knows that the way to win this fight is to kind of outlast the first 2 rounds of Kayla Harrison just being a bully, and then kind of hope she starts to fade a little bit and she puts it on her late. And I think I could see that happening here. I could see that exact scenario where Kayla looks dominant for the first 2 rounds, and then Juliana comes on late here. So I do like Juliana at these odds. I think these odds are insane for a girl that keeps winning fights that she shouldn't win. And I thought she lost her last fight, to be honest with you, too. I thought she lost that fight against Rocky. Whatever. She won the fight. But it's just the way it is. To me, she's never like the ultimate better fighter in a lot of these big fights, and she still finds a way to gut it out. So that's got to tell you something about the fighter. She's just a dog at heart, and I'm going with it. I know Big T's making fun of me in the chat for picking dogs, but whatever, Big T. I mean, you can pick the minus 700 favorite, and I'll take my plus 500 dog, and whatever. I'll win one or two, and we'll be fine. Like, so we'll see what happens. But I'm taking Pena 6,500 too. Like, what happens if a lot of these dogs lose, Dan, and Pena is 6,500, but she somehow scores like 45 in a loss and is on the winner?
Yeah, that I definitely have that in consideration. I'll be playing probably like 20 to 25% Pena, and like I picked Harrison. I bet Pena because, like you said, this line is just insane. And like Pena, for all her faults, she is tough, dude. She's really fucking hard to get out of there. And Harrison, you mentioned it before. I'm not the most concerned about her weight cuts just because, Kayla Harrison is not playing on the same, she's not on the same playing field as most other fighters in the UFC. Like, she is a multimillionaire from PFL. She's got tons of resources. She has an entire team behind her, former Olympian. So like, they've got her shit dialed in. The thing that concerns me is that we have seen her fade later in fights. So I could definitely see a scenario play out where Harrison is like dominating for the first couple rounds, but then starts to fade, and then Pena's not going away, and then she just comes and, finishes the fight. It's completely possible. Sylvester, no, I will not be doing that. Although the last time we had a card at Prudential Center, we did have a 5-round fight. We had 2 5-round fights, and the Strickland Costa stack got there. So, I won't be doing it.
What an insane fight to get there too, by the way.
I know. That card was such a mess. If it weren't for the Dustin Islam fight to cap off the night, that would have just been like such a fucking dud. But yeah, all that to say is I think Pena's live here. I think she's a fine DFS play. She's obviously like super cheap. This line is way too wide. Yeah. Harrison on the other side, I'm gonna be loading up on her. 9,700 is a ton to pay, but like we've discussed, I think that domination on the mat is absolutely in play. You're going to need probably 5 rounds of domination, which, Pena's toughness and the fact that she won't just go away helps out a lot here, because one of the like biggest kind of downside scenarios for Kayla Harrison is that she just wins too efficiently. It's like she gets her down early round 2, subs her, or like even a fucking first round finish outside of a quick win bonus could bust here, because 9,700 and the whole top is just so strong. I'm going to be throwing caution to the wind. I'm going to be playing a ton of Harrison. It's just like, there's just way too much upside here to ignore, but there is a ton of downside. And I think Pena's live. I'm not sure if I'll be shoving this one 100%. I likely will. But I have to sort of get in the optimizer, see how the builds shake out.
That's my question, Dan, is who's better, Kayla Harrison at spamming takedowns or Merab?
Oh, dude, Merab.
Because if Merab wins, Merab's going to have like 11 fucking takedowns, and he's going to shoot 20 fucking times and stuff. And he's going to score like, what's the low he's going to score? Like 115?
Even without like double-digit takedowns. I mean, and I don't really see people talk about it much, but Merab puts up 6 striking volume too.
Dude, his last 3 fights, he's had 5, 6, and 7. He's put up 111, 137, 120, and they're no finishes. Merab doesn't finish people. So I don't want to get too far into that, but like in DFS, I have a tough time playing Kayla over Merab. Just like if you're looking at it, like Merab is just I feel like he's a way better play than Kayla in the top range.
Yeah, I mean, I don't think you really have to choose either or, just because, Merab is 9K.
Right, but I also think they're going to be the two highest owned fighters. So playing them together is going to be very, very chalky.
Well, playing them together, you're going to have to play some of these shitters down below, and they're
Correct.
all pretty low owned. Again, like the barbell construction will not be a popular construction this week. Everybody is going to hammer the
So
mid-range.
you think that the popular construction is going to be play one of the two favorites from the title fights and play one of the two dogs from the title fights?
Or, let me see what I have projected ownership here. I guess both of these are projecting to be pretty. Oh, wait, no, that's not projected ownership. My fault. Neither of these fights are projecting to be anywhere close to 100%. Like I've got O'Malley, Merab projected to come in at like 88% in total, and then Pena Harrison at 59% in total. So like these are going to be pretty like relatively low owned 5-round fights. So I don't think the majority of the field is going to be jamming both 5-rounders, which now that we've talked it through, that's probably the route I'm going to go.
Yeah, I was going to say that's I know you. I knew that before we started talking about these fights. All right.
I always think about it. I'm like, do I like kind of not go ahead? And then I end up getting there every time.
Yeah, I know you. You can't help yourself, especially when you got such high upside with some of these, especially the favorites, obviously, but with the takedowns and stuff like that. But I will definitely be higher on Merab in DFS as opposed to Kayla. If I have to pick one, I'm picking Merab. But let's get to that fight. Merab Dvalishvili, 9K on DK. Sean O'Malley, 7,200. And I think the main thing with this fight is Sean O'Malley in a win, honestly, still might not score amazing, Dan. Like that's just because of the style of Merab. Because if you think about it, Merab could hold him down for 2.5 rounds, but Sean win a split. Where, I watched that last fight back, and in my head, Dan, I thought Merab just like demolished him. And I was like, oh, that first round was kind of close. Like Sean was picking him apart for the first 2.5, 3 minutes, and then Merab took him down. And that's how the fight finished. That's how the round finished. They ended up giving that round to Sean. And then I think it was round 3 where 2 of the judges gave Sean round 3 and 1 gave Merab. So like, it was closer, I guess, in theory than I thought. Like watching the fight back, I was like, oh, I guess I could see where like Sean had a chance in the first round, to win that round. It's at least more arguable. I thought like there was no way he won that fight when I watched it the first time, like when I was watching it live, and I bet Sean. So like, I'll be honest, like I was wrong. I bet Sean. Merab obviously won and clearly won too. It's not like it was that close, but it was closer when I rewatched it than I actually thought, is more my point. And I think Sean, he sounds way more dialed in this time around. That guy is focused. I mean, some of this a little over the top, maybe a little bit with what he's doing, but I like that he's not dyeing his hair. I'm with it. I don't love all the streak colors in his hair. Get that out of here, Sean. Dude's not jerking off, I guess. I don't know. I mean,
don't like that.
But Dan, he said he's still getting the job done. Just with his baby mama, he's still getting the job done. So he did throw that in there. He was still getting the job done, but it's not doing that. So
okay, that works.
I bet Sean decision at plus 700 on DraftKings. O'Malley can finish Merab. I truly believe that, but Merab just has this thing. Even when he's hurt, he won't go away. And I think even if Sean hurts him, he'll find a way to like clinch up or scramble away and then recover. He recovers pretty well. So I think if Sean wins, it could be by decision. So I like O'Malley here, plus 240 on DraftKings. I'm not backing down. If I lose, I lose, and my take is wrong. But I think Sean is the one person that has a shot at beating Merab in his crazy cardio. He did a really good job, in my opinion, too, Dan, of defending a lot of the single leg takedowns.
Mhm.
It was the takedowns where Sean got overly aggressive because he was waiting a lot, and then he would just get frustrated and he'd overswing, and Merab would just duck under and take him down easily. And he's got to be careful of that, because those were two of the takedowns where he got caught on his back for a while. So if he can just defend those singles like he was doing for a lot of the fight and stay away from those easy takedowns that Merab was getting, where he was just ducking under some big shots, I think he's got a chance to win a split decision here. And I think it's, it's more than people think. So I'm taking the dog again. More dogs on this card. I can't wait to lose my shirt again on Sean O'Malley, but going back for it, Dan, hopefully he helps me out this time around.
Yeah, I picked O'Malley, but I picked him inside the distance. I don't see O'Malley winning a decision. I just think if this is going to decision, it's because Merab is executing his game plan the way he wants. Like you mentioned before, we've seen Merab hurt before, so he can be hurt and finished. And O'Malley, obviously, he's got the quickness, he's got the accuracy, he's got the power. His ITD line of plus 295 for 7,200 is super solid. And yeah, I think a knockout is his win condition. I don't think he can win any other way. And I think a knockout in pretty much any round is going to score well enough.
You don't think he can win by decision?
No.
Okay.
No, I don't. Like if you look at the last fight, he got off 47 strikes. Like 47 strikes. That's,
But who was bleeding?
Who was bleeding?
Who was bleeding?
Merab.
Merab was bleeding. Like Merab is the king of just like hold on to you, do no damage. He'll do a little, he'll throw a little punch here or there. He'll hump you a little bit. He'll do some weird ass shit. But like he doesn't actually, if I'm Sean, if he gets taken down, I would just go overly aggressive to get back up, even if it puts you in really bad positions, because Merab has not shown the ability to just finish someone like submission games. He tried against Sean. How many times did he try to submit Sean? At least 3, I think, in that fight, if I remember correctly. He couldn't get him. He went for those like guillotine head, or not guillotine, like those headlocks where he was grabbing the neck, probably more to pull him down. But like he tried a couple of times and he couldn't get it. And if I'm Sean, I would force those scrambles.
So just looking at the stats from that fight, Merab wasn't credited with any sub attempts, which tracks with what I would think. Like he doesn't really make sub attempts in earnest. They're just kind of like to get to other spots. He's not actually like trying to submit you. But yeah, I mean, I hear what you're saying. I still think O'Malley decision is very, very unlikely. I think he's going to have to knock Merab out. But I think he's 100% capable of that. On the other side, what more can we really say about Merab? The machine, he lives up to that nickname fully, smashes in DFS. Like if he wins, I don't see how he's not optimal. Like, I don't know. They'd have to cancel the fucking fight, honestly. So yeah, I'm going to be super heavy on Merab. He's projecting to come in around 60%. I actually think that's low. Like I'm going to be at least 70. What I tend to like to do in these main events is just look at the implied win probability of each guy and then split my exposure like that. So yeah, I've got Merab implied 70% to win, O'Malley 30% to win. And that's what I'm doing.
Yeah, Merab is definitely the better DFS play. Like even if you bet Sean, like I still think you should play some Merab, because it's almost like a hedge your bet type thing here. Because if he does win, he wins the same way every time, pretty much. Yeah, like he's winning via spam takedowns, control time, like volume.
Money's pouring in on Sean right now too, so maybe I bump that up.
People like the no dyed hair. People like all the stuff he's been saying. I think people seeing it. They see what he's doing. So Definitely a good fight, though. I'm excited for the fight. I think it's going to be a funner fight than the last time out. So we'll see. Hopefully Sean's just not on his back for 5 rounds because that's never fun to watch. But you never know what can happen. Dan, let's give a favorite bet for the people before we get out of here. Do you have one bet that you like a ton?
Yeah, I mean, it was Kevin Holland money line. But
can't go there.
Can't go there.
I don't know.
Oh, I mean, you know, I love the plus money on Pena. I love the plus money on O'Malley. But dude, Spivok money line.
Yeah. Oh, I was gonna say Spivok sub.
You still can.
We could double down on a Spivok by sub. I also like the Sergey fight to end via KO.
Yeah.
Plus money. Sure. I think that's a good bet too. So we'll give those bets. I like those. Hopefully no fights get canceled, especially the fights that I end up betting on because that's annoying when that happens. But hopefully we'll be good to go. Keep an eye on the Kevin Holland fight and anything that comes out. Obviously, we'll be in the Discord if there is any news. It's always good to be a member. Come join us, rumpuresports.com, RPS 15 if you want 15% off. Join the Discord. We're also doing a free week. If you're not a member and you join for a month, you got to use the code. Hold on. Let me just make sure I get the code right before I want to make sure I say it right here. So where am I seeing it? Can't find the code. Now I got to go look for the code. Hold on. Should have had this code in front of me. I know who will have it, though. Code JBC 100K win will get you a free week. So if you use that code, you'll get a free week. Just remember, you got to sign up for the month. So if you sign up for the month, you use that code, you get the first week free, and boom, use that code JBC, caps JBC, 100K win. That will get you your free week. And if you have any questions, just, you can DM us on Twitter or info@rumpuresports.com, the email. You can shoot us an email, customer support, and we'll get back to you. So hope you guys enjoyed the show. Good luck in your bets and DFS contests over at DraftKings and DK Sportsbook. For Dan and myself, JSU. Dan, have fun at the fights tonight, and everyone else, enjoy the fights tonight. We'll see you guys next week. We're out of here. Peace.